fifth player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the fourth round at quarterback. That's sitting there in round 4 with other quarterbacks being taken who aren't as good as Shedeur, aren't even close, in my opinion, in terms of accuracy, toughness. Arm strength is certainly more than good enough. I don't see, outside of not being have the rocket arm and the 4.6 speed and the big frame, the 6'3", 230-pound frame, what is he lacking? Somebody's going to have to explain that one to me. Fourth round, Kirk Cousins went. Fourth round, Dak Prescott went. Worked out pretty good for them. It's just that Shedeur was projected a lot higher than they were. That's why we're having this discussion.
You don't do that to somebody like that. You can't knock his talent. You can't knock about. I heard a lot of things about, he take unnecessary sacks. I mean, he had a battle line. He threw with a 70%, with a battle line. Talk about his escaping the pocket. You can pull up plenty of clips of him escaping 3 to 4 tackles, throwing it down the field.
Yep.
Most of his receivers had over 7 to 8 touchdowns. He played with Travis Hunter. He won the Belinikov. Some things you just can't knock. Like, come on, bro. Like, we gotta stop making feelings with how people play linger. Like, yeah, he might have some things that he might say on camera, off the field. Whatever was dealing with that don't have to do with how he plays football. Everybody got different personalities. You never gonna meet somebody that got the same personality anywhere. Like, you can't mix that. We all made different. So for them to judge him on just the things that he say or how he carry himself, bro, how he carry himself is all about how his dad raised him.
And designed
they know Dion. We all know Dion, bro. Come on, bro. We all know Dion. They was just doing that just to show how they bigger than what he wanted to stand for. And I understand that, but you don't do that. You don't do that. Like, not to a kid like that been working their whole life, been told that Dion's kids was never gonna be as good as him.
The Stephen A. Smith Show coming at you over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. I'm getting right into it because I'm off on this particular Saturday, but I had to make sure I let my thoughts be known, okay? Because we're going to get started with the story that made headlines all over, all the sports networks overnight, and then some. And that was the NFL draft and the precipitous slide of quarterback Shedeur Sanders, son of primetime Deion Sanders, who many considered the second best quarterback in January. Sanders was just picked by the Cleveland Browns as the 144th selection of the 5th round overall. Shedeur wasn't drafted in round 1 on Thursday. He wasn't drafted on Friday during rounds 2 and 3, and teams passed on him again earlier this afternoon in round 4. So here's a look at all the quarterbacks that have been taken so far. Cam Ward went number 1 overall at Tennessee. Then the Giants picked Jackson Dart with the 25th overall pick, a pick they moved up to get, by the way. They moved up to get that pick. Round 2 began last night, and the first quarterback taken was Tyler Shuck, who went to the New Orleans Saints with the 40th overall pick. Then in round 3 to Seattle, the Seahawks took Jalen Milroe from Alabama with the 92nd overall pick. And then 2 picks later, the Cleveland Browns selected Dillon Gabriel with the 94th overall pick in the 3rd round, and there were no more quarterbacks taken on Friday. So those are the 5 quarterbacks that went ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And before I give you my feelings on this, I want to show you the 5 quarterbacks the Browns now have on their roster. The quarterback room now includes Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, the aforementioned Dillon Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, who is injured with his Achilles tear, and, of course, now Shedeur Sanders. Ladies and gentlemen, you know it's bad when the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is pushing out tweets about how corrupt it is. I mean, think about that. President Donald Trump is pulling out tweets about how corrupt it is and how these owners look absolutely stupid or ill-advised. And I don't know about y'all, but I want y'all to listen before I get into it to my man Mel Kiper Jr. of ESPN, who is going off about Shedeur Sanders being snubbed because he had Sanders as arguably the best quarterback in this draft. Listen to what this man had to say.
The NFL has been clueless for 50 years when it comes to evaluating quarterback. Clueless. All that, no idea what they're doing in terms of evaluating quarterback. That's proof. There's proof of that.
How many
they say we know exactly what we're talking about with quarterback. They don't.
You heard what he had to say. Let me tell you something right now. This is some bullshit. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to say that while in the same breath conceding and acknowledging that Shedeur Sanders is not blameless here. Primetime Deion Sanders is not blameless here. I'm going to say what I have to say, knowing that both of them have their hands at least a little bit dirty in all of this. But if you're the National Football League, okay, clearly it's not about talent anymore. It's about something else. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a large amount of the last 24 hours thinking about nothing more than I was thinking about collusion. Because how in the hell does 32 teams in the National Football League pass on a quarterback that was universally recognized as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country entering this draft, and 32 teams passed on them? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different times they passed on them. How the hell does that happen? 4 rounds. It doesn't happen to a quarterback. We've never seen anything like this before. We've seen guys drop because of injuries. We've seen guys drop because of off-field issues, but we've never seen a quarterback projected to be a top 20 pick, universally recognized as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, projected to be a first rounder, in all likelihood a safe bet of a late first rounder, and drop literally to the 5th round. We haven't seen anything like that. And when you're talking about the owners, I'm going to keep in mind, and I tweeted about this, seems very Kaepernick-like, as in Colin Kaepernick. Now, I've said on many occasions the man brought it on himself, because once he was exiled from the sport because of taking a knee during the national anthem and you just irritating all the quote-unquote patriots out there as American citizens, I said, you know something? He didn't violate any bylaws. He didn't violate any laws. He didn't interfere with what transpired once kickoff time arrived. People are tripping. But still in all, he had an opportunity to get back in the NFL. All he had to do was show up to that workout that the league had organized at the Atlanta Falcons practice facility, but he didn't show up to that. And as a result, 2 hours beforehand, had everybody trying to come to a high school football field 120 minutes away, 2 hours away. So guess what? You did that to yourself. That was not Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders with the watch. Shedeur Sanders with his bravado. Shedeur Sanders with this supposed arrogance or whatever. He still balled. He still threw for over 4,100 yards, still threw for 37 touchdowns, still threw for just 10 interceptions, still proved himself to be one of the better quarterbacks in football. Tremendous pause, pocket presence, accuracy, throwing the damn football. Didn't have great wheels, doesn't have great athleticism, but the brother can play. I certainly never heard of no damn Dylan Gabriel or Tyler Shock. What the hell is that? I didn't hear about them. So how is Shedeur Sanders going behind them? I'll tell you how. It's collusion. And why do I bring up Kaepernick? Because I keep reminding everybody